Who can remind me what we talked about last week? Anybody? God's plan is bigger than your fear. That's good. That's good. Who was our speaker last week? Rogelio? Yeah, Rogelio was our speaker last week. Did y'all enjoy him? Yeah, he's a fun guy. He's a fun guy. Yeah, that's short for Rogelio. You can call me either one. He texted me earlier today and said he was praying for you guys tonight. So that's good. That's good. What did he talk about? Besides, what did you say, Emery? God's plan is bigger than your fear. What else did he talk about? Anybody remember the Bible story? Okay. Either one of y'all. He was in Judges. Yep. And who did he talk about? Gideon. What do we know about Gideon? Okay, yeah. He had several 100,000, or a lot of thousand, I don't remember. How many did he have? 30,000 originally, dwindled down to what? 300. How much? 32, that's what I thought. 32,000, dwindled it all the way down to 300 men who fought thousands upon thousands, and they didn't even lift a finger to kill him, right? It's an awesome story. I love this story. Anybody take any notes from last week? What was some of the main points that Rose shared about that story? Tear down what? Tear down what feeds your fear. That's good. That's good. What else? What else was his points? What altar are you feeding? Okay. Yeah. He talked about how cuts will happen. And then lastly, he talked about conquering. Conquering what? Fear, but also conquering what God has told you to conquer. Right? God gave Gideon a mission. And even in fear, Gideon fulfilled that mission. And so Gideon overcame his fear. And we're going to continue to talk about overcoming fear. That's kind of the theme for October. A few weeks ago during our comeback series, I mentioned some world-class underdog stories, some comeback stories. Y'all remember we talked about Rocky? Anybody remember who Rocky is? Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. You remember that? Sylvester Stallone? It's the eye of the tiger. Yeah, that's right. Small town boxer, Philadelphia, worked his way up, fought heavyweight champion Apollo Creed, and won. And then we talked about Rudy. Anybody remember Rudy? Remember the short dyslexic guy? My guys in the back, they remember. They're part of my generation, though, so. I tried looking up some newer generation movies. I couldn't come up with any. I tried. I even put it in ChatGPT. I said, help me come up with more relevant to Gen Z comeback movies. And none of them connected with me. I don't know. I can't think of any. If y'all can think of them, that's great. But Rudy was a dyslexic short guy who wanted to play football for Notre Dame, one of the best football teams of all time during that time. And he put in the work, found a tutor, and ultimately was able to play for Notre Dame. And then we talked about William Wallace from Braveheart, the 18th century hero who was from Scotland and fought the English after a personal tragedy, rallying ordinary people to do extraordinary things in their lives. Tonight, we're talking about the greatest underdog story of all time. The greatest underdog story of all time. It's found right in the Bible. And it's when a little shepherd boy comes face to face with a 9'9" bully named Goliath. Everybody in here knows the story of David and Goliath. Whether you grew up in church, whether you're a new believer, maybe you just know it because it's one of the most famous, it is the most famous underdog story of all time, right? We're talking David versus Goliath. In any sports column, any sports news place, they're going to mention David and Goliath when they're talking about teams going at each other because that is the pinnacle of an underdog story. The exciting story of David and Goliath illustrates what God saw in David's heart that led him to choose David for the position of king. It also shows why others in Israel began to notice David, because David fought the Lord's battles. When I was in elementary school, I used to get made fun of and picked on a lot. I was a little bit nerdy, you know. I loved Barney, like all through elementary. I was obsessed with Barney. In third grade, we had a show and tell / sleepover kind of themed day, and I brought, listen y'all, I'm going to tell my age. I brought a cassette tape that had Barney music on it. Third grade, brought it to school, thought I was so cool. Y'all, I know that wasn't cool back then, and they let me know. They let me know it. My peers let me know that it was not cool. And so I got picked on a lot. I would have girls tell me, you know, that's when you start, you know, liking girls, you know, somewhere in upper elementary. I would have girls tell me straight up, hey, you're ugly. I would never be interested in even liking you. Just straight up, mean. Just, people can be mean, right? I know y'all know what I'm talking about. You've experienced some of this stuff. The cool guys, they would really be buddy with me when they needed help for their homework. But as soon as I did something uncool in their eyes, they would ridicule me for it and make fun of me for it. So I got picked on a lot. I remember this one time we were doing a spelling bee, and it was 5th grade. And I thought I was the smartest person in the class, you know, in the whole 5th grade in my school. Not very big school, but I thought I was big stuff. And I'm spelling words, and I'm doing really well, and then I make a mistake, y'all. And I got a word wrong. I don't even remember what word it was. But I remember this guy. His name was Michael Denny. I still remember him. We became friends later, but during this time, we weren't friends. And I remember him making fun of me for misspelling that word. And I just remember losing my cool, and I picked up a desk, and I threw it at him right in the middle of class. I got picked on a lot. I remember 4th or 5th grade, I got tired of being picked on, and I had complained to my parents enough about it that they told me, you know what? You just need to take it to him. You just need to knock him out. And I was like, okay. I said, I'm getting bigger. I'm gonna get in a fight with somebody. I'm gonna earn some respect. And I remember calling out this guy who later ended up being one of my best friends in high school. But his name was Kanan Sherrill. He ended up being the quarterback on our high school team in high school, and we were good friends then. But back then we weren't, right? And so I remember calling him out. I said, I'm tired of you messing with me. I'm tired of you picking on me. Hey, today I want you to meet me at the merry-go-round, and we're gonna sell this like men, right? Meet at the merry-go-round. And I remember, you know, I get down to the merry-go-round, and we're squaring up, and we're getting ready to fight, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this guy drop kicks me. I'm talking like a kangaroo, like comes up like this, both feet, and just drop kicks me, and then lands right back on his feet. And I just remember falling backwards and being like, okay. And that was it. Didn't do nothing. I remember this teacher on duty was coming running down the playground to try to break up the fight because she saw it happen, but I didn't even get a swing in. I was done. He drop kicked me. I was done. Let's just say it didn't go the way I expected it to go. You know, you're going to face bullies in your life. You're going to face hard situations. You're going to face people in your life that are going to bully you. You're going to face people, you're going to face things that may feel like they're bullying you. You're going to face giants in your life. And we're going to talk about how David faced Goliath. And when we come to the story of David and Goliath, the scene is this. In 1 Samuel 17, God's people have come to the valley of Elah, and they're camped on a hillside under the rule of King Saul. And Saul was a mighty warrior and a major leader of the people of God. They once again come up to battle with the Philistines, the dreaded Philistines. All throughout the Old Testament, as you read the story of God's people, you will hear about the Philistine army and the constant thorn in the side that they were for God's people. And in 1 Samuel 17, 2 through 11, we're going to read this. Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up their battle lines to meet the Philistines. The Philistines occupied one hill and the Israelites another, with the valley between them. Here's the problem. A very mean and very big bully steps onto the scene in the next verse in God's narrative. He begins to taunt and ridicule the people of Israel, King Saul, and ultimately even God. A champion named Goliath was from Gath. He came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span. Y'all, that is 9 feet, 9 inches. And I'm going to show you what that looks like with these boxes. Don't worry, this ain't it. Nope. About 6 inches shorter than that is 9'9". So this guy walks out of the Philistine camp to face the Israelites. That'd be pretty intimidating, yeah? Okay, let's keep reading about Goliath. He had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze, weighing 5,000 shekels. Okay? Shekels. In pounds, that's about 126 pounds. So imagine a 60-pound junior hire being strapped onto the front and back of you. That's basically what it would be. 126 pounds. So 2 junior hires strapped onto you. That's how much his armor weighed. On his legs, he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod. A weaver's rod. Listen, y'all don't understand this because you're not from Israel and you're not in the Bible times. A weaver's rod is about this big. It's about the size of a fence post. When you talk about a spear, a typical spear is about this big. This guy was about this big. The size of a wooden fence post. His iron point weighed 600 shekels, about 15 pounds, or the average weight of a shot put. Anybody in here throw shot put? Listen, y'all ain't throwing 15-pounders. I can tell you that because you're still in junior high. But the standard for big size is 15, 16 pounds shot put. So this guy's just the spear tip of his spear weighed 15 pounds. So you're talking 9'9", giant spear, giant armor. The people of Israel had a right to be afraid. They had a right to be afraid and to be intimidated. His shield bearer went ahead of him. Let's keep reading. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." Then the Philistine said, "This day I defy the armies of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other." On hearing the Philistines' words, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. They had a right to be afraid. Let's keep reading verse 24. Whenever the Israelites saw the man, they all fled from him in great fear. The Valley of Elah was a core place to have under control because it was an important trade route between cities. And so Goliath immobilizes Israel's armies from taking over the land that God had told them to do. God had given them a mission to conquer the land, and Goliath stood in the way at the Valley of Elah. For 40 days, Goliath would come out and shout taunts at the people about them and about their God. They thought, it's okay, I'm just safe. As long as I remain in my tent, as long as I remain in the camp, as long as I don't do what God has asked us to do, I am safe. The Philistine army can't get to me in the camp. The thing is, Goliath was winning the battle because the Israelite army was not advancing in the task God had given them. Even though the Israelites felt like they were safe in camp, the reality is they were still being defeated because they were not doing the task that God had given them. They may have felt nice and comfortable and safe, sitting around the campfire, under their tents, eating food, hanging out with each other. They may have felt safe and comfortable in that, but they were really being defeated because they weren't doing the task that God had given them. Come on, y'all. How many of us are okay, safe, and comfortable sitting in church, but then we don't do the task that God asked us to do? We want to stay in the camp. We don't want to take and conquer the ground like Gideon was told to do, or like David and the Israelites were told to do. We would rather sit in our comfortable seats and be safe instead of fulfill the mission and the task that has been given us. One of the major things about giants is intimidation. Giants in our life intimidate us. We get tongue-tied. Our thoughts get confused. We forget how to pray. We focus on the odds against us. We forget who we represent. And we stand there with our knees knocking, failing to do what God has asked us to do. This isn't right. Did you just notice that? Intimidation. That's one of the biggest things. Y'all, I won't lie. I get intimidated still. At 33 years old, there are still giants in my life where I get intimidated. I'll give you an example, okay? About 3 weeks ago, I went and spoke to the Harbor football team for their FCA meeting on a Thursday night. And I don't know what it is, but in that moment, I was intimidated. I was intimidated. And it confused my thought process, and it messed me up, and I wasn't able to deliver what I felt like I was supposed to deliver in that moment. We've got football players right there on the back row. They were there. They were present. I don't know if they got something out of it or not, but I was intimidated because I'm insecure, because I'm not confident in how God has gifted me and how he's created me to do things and the tasks that he's given me to do. I understand intimidation. I understand insecurity. They are giants that we will face in this life. Well, let's keep reading the story. 1 Samuel 17, 32 through 37. The story changes here. David said to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go in and fight him." Saul replied, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth." Listen, when you're called to go fight a lion or a bear, go do it so that you can build the confidence so that when you're ready to face the giant, you've got the confidence. Maybe for you, that might look like standing up here on a Wednesday night and giving a message. Seniors, juniors. Because if you're not confident, and if you're not willing to get out of your comfort and your safety in order to fulfill the task that God has given you, if you're not able to step into a little bit, you're never going to build any confidence. If you don't conquer the lions and the bears, you're not going to be ready to face the giants. You've got to be in that season of facing those small things, working through those small things so that God can prepare your confidence, prepare your heart for the bigger things. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord has rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, and will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. When David volunteered to be Israel's champion, Saul scoffed at him. He was like, "Who are you?" He evaluated David's chances for success solely in physical terms. Saul reminds me of the 10 out of the 12 spies Moses sent to the land of Canaan who saw giants in the land and concluded that victory would be impossible. Too many times the Israelites and us, we focus on the outward appearance and the circumstances of our surroundings rather than focusing on who God is and what he has already done for us. Jesus says in John 7:24, "Stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly, or look beneath the surface so that you can judge correctly." The second thing giants do is their appearance, how they look. Too many times in our life, we look at the outward appearance or the circumstances that are happening around us instead of focusing on who God is and what he has already done in our lives. We get so focused on what that thing appears to be, what it may look like, what it may feel like, what it may sound like. We get so focused on that thing that we forget what God has already done through us, that what he's already done in our life. 1 Samuel 17, 48 through 50. As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly towards the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead and he fell face down on the ground. And so David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. Biggest comeback story of all time. Biggest underdog story of all time. David versus Goliath. The reason this story is so important is because there are still giants in the land. There are still giants in your life. They may not be 9'9" named Goliath, but there are giants in your life that are taunting you, that are ridiculing you. There is something in your life that just seems to stand in your way. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's rejection. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's friendships. I don't know. You know what giants are in your life. You know the giants that you are facing. Whatever your giant is, you feel that it is immobilizing you and beating you down the same way that Israel never moved. They never moved out of safety. They never went out of camp because they let one giant stand in their way. The story of David and Goliath is a time-honored story that many of us have heard and some have even taught to our own people. After all, everyone loves a good underdog story. You know that verse, Philippians 4:13, what's it say? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That's a great verse. And it's powerful. But listen, that doesn't mean that you can defeat your giants. That doesn't mean that you can muster up enough courage, enough willpower to defeat your giants. As Heather comes up and we get ready to close, the truth is that what God really wants us to get from this story of David versus Goliath is not to face our giants, not to fight our giants with our own strength and our own willpower. It's so easy to see ourselves in the story of David and Goliath as David, to put us in the place of David in the story of Goliath, to think that if I could just be like David, I could fight the giants in my life. If I could just overcome whatever it is that's holding me back, that's keeping me from moving forward, that's ruining my life, the giants of fear, rejection, anger, addiction. We all have a giant. That's the bad news. But here's the good news. We are not David in the story of David and Goliath. The story of David is really the story of Jesus. Jesus is David. Jesus is the giant slayer. Not you and I. Jesus. The story of David is really the story of Jesus. Matter of fact, if you read the Bible and if you understand genealogies in the Bible, Jesus is a direct descendant of David. David was a type, a representation of what Jesus would do in the New Testament in the Old Testament. His story, his life was in the Old Testament, but it was to point to a Messiah that would come. A Messiah that could defeat your giant. Jesus has already defeated every giant in your life. The giants of fear, rejection, anger, addiction, insecurity, so on. Every giant in your life has already been defeated. It was defeated on the cross over 2,000 years ago. He's already defeated sin and death on the cross. All we have to do is move forward and live in that truth, and continue to chase the enemy's armies out of the land, to persevere in doing what Jesus has told us to do. We're the Israelites in the story of David and Goliath. What do you think the Israelites did when David stepped out there and took out Goliath? Like any movie? Probably just like when you got 7 boxes stacked on top of each other. What'd you do? You celebrated. You went nuts. You rushed the victor. That's what we're called to do. You're not called to defeat your giant. That's not your mission. Jesus has already done it. It's already been accomplished. Now all you got to do is be like the Israelites and walk in it and move forward and conquer the land. It doesn't mean you're not going to have hurdles. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean there's still not going to be other giants that need to be taken out. Goliath had brothers. But you know who took those guys out too? David and the Israelites. I want to encourage you, if your mind has been wondering about the giants in your life and how you can defeat them, that's not the point. I don't want to tell you 3 steps to defeat your giants. Instead, I want you to come to a conclusion that Jesus has already defeated your giants on the cross. To say, I'm no longer going to rule and lead my life for myself. No longer am I going to be intimidated by my giants. No longer am I going to look on the outward appearances or the circumstances, allowing them to immobilize me. But I'm going to step off the throne of my life and allow Jesus to rule and reign where he rightly belongs. Maybe for you tonight, that looks like following Jesus for the first time. Surrendering your life to Christ for the first time. Maybe that looks to you like, I don't know, getting together and praying with somebody, getting to with a leader and saying, man, I've been struggling with this giant. I know Jesus has already defeated it, but I still look at it. I still see it. I'm still intimidated by it. Its appearance still stresses me out. Help me walk this out. You cannot move forward in the Christian faith in your life alone. You cannot. We're created to do together community, to do life together, to walk alongside of each other. It doesn't matter how insecure you are or how much you think that you don't have friends or people don't want to hang out with you. There are people in your life that want to walk alongside of you, that want to encourage you to follow Jesus. And so I don't know what you want to do right now in this moment. We're going to take a couple moments. I'm going to move this, move that. And I just want you to respond how you feel the Spirit leading you. Maybe you want to get with a leader. Maybe you want to just come up and pray. Maybe you want to sit there and write notes and just have a little you and Jesus time. We're not going to do small groups tonight. We're going to do this instead. And I just want to spend a little time reflecting on this message and the fact that Jesus has already defeated your giant. Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you. God, we thank you for the opportunity to be in this room. God, we thank you for the story of David and Goliath and how that is a representation of how Jesus has defeated the giants in our life. God, I pray that you would give us the strength, the endurance, and the perseverance to follow David, follow Jesus in taking and conquering the land. That we would serve the role. God, that we would be willing to accomplish the task, that we wouldn't stay in our safe, comfortable camp. But God, that we would get out of our camp and we would walk behind David, behind Jesus, into enemy territory and to conquer the land. God, I ask that you would be with us as we get ready to respond. Lord, I ask these things in your name, Father. Amen.